A lot of the intention in meditation is to bring us more fully into the present moment. And the reason is quite simple. This is the only moment that exists. We talk about the past and the future, and of course, both are concepts. The past is mostly memory influenced by self, and the future is more imagining influenced by self. I took a course on the brain at one point, and one of the pieces of statistic they gave us was that the brain researchers had determined that the average human today invests about roughly 40% of their energy into the past, the equal amount, about 40%, into the future, and no more than 20% or less in the present. And some people had higher numbers than that. There was even less in the present. I find on retreat that people fall into the camp usually of either being oriented to the past or the future. The folks who are replaying the past are working with restlessness and remorse, particularly remorse and regret. But there's a kind of a restlessness to it. And it's things like, oh, if I had taken this job, if I had partnered with that person, if I had not partnered here or not gone there, all of this, my life would have been different. And of course, it's probably true. But at today, there's nothing to be done. We can't magically go back in time and change these major decisions. So it's really a kind of suffering, a self-imposed suffering, by telling us what if. And those who are oriented to the future, typically they're the planners. And these are folks who are tracking, slightly worrying about negative or harmful things. Bad things can happen. So by planning, by organizing, by anticipating, they feel they can remove as much negativity, as much bad experience from their lives as possible, another way of protecting the self. But the main reason that we do this is because we don't want to be in the present moment. Because the present moment is like live theater. It's like improvisation. We're here having to make decisions, sometimes split-second decisions, not always with time to reflect or take in the whole. And there's a lot of pressure and stress in that, and we have concern about doing it wrong. And so we can tend to avoid being in the present for that reason, because we don't want to make the wrong decision. But in fact, we're not making any decision. Or if we are, we're making it by default rather than by affirmative action. And so that's part of our practice. Our meditation is returning again and again to the present moment, right here, right now. That's why we work with things like the chakras, because they will orient us to this moment. We will be experiencing what's happening now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. We're just focusing now. So it's one of the ways that we pull away also from some of the conceptual distractions we can have as humans to not feel the present moment, because our concern is if we feel the present moment enough, we're going to feel that survival instinct. We're going to feel that fear, that anxiety of the present moment about all the bad stuff that can happen. And so we spend our time really worrying quite a bit. So we want to really, again, pull away from that by coming to the present moment as much as possible. And the way we do that, if you catch yourself reminiscing about something from the past, come to the present. Just say, now. I want to be here now. And the same with the future. If you're planning some future event, not now, I can do this later. Come here, be here now. As the famous line from Ram Dass, be here now. So part of what we're getting in touch with is we're getting in touch with the pure love of the unconditioned, the metta. We're also orienting to another quality of what I call the manifest absolute, which is presence. Love is metta, and presence is the here-ness, the immediacy, the nowness of the absolute. And that's why we have to be oriented to the present moment, is because we want to be resting in this present moment. That's why we practice with the I am not practice. That loosens our attachment to the different markers of me. It gives us more fluidity in our inner experience, more of an ability to explore, to journey, which is what we need to do. So one of the qualities of the manifest absolute, along with presence and love, is the quality, a function of unity, of an undividedness, a wholeness. We view all sorts of separations in our life as everyday humans. I'm here, you're there. That tree is outside, this computer is inside. We have all these distinctions that we make. And we're orienting when we contact with the unconditioned, unborn love of the Absolute. We're getting in contact with the unified. Because the way that life comes into being is it starts the center of the Absolute, the eye, let's say, of the hurricane is cessation. Cessation is a direct experience that can be had of no mentality, no materiality. So all mentality ceases, all materiality ceases. That's why it's called cessation. And it's a dreamless type of sleep. We're not actually asleep, but that's the closest association we can make. Interestingly, this nothingness, this no materiality, no mentality experience is the potency of the universe. It's so peaceful and so still that it will bring everything to stillness and peace, no matter what it is. So it has a tremendous power to do that. And so that power, the power of nothingness, is what starts. And then in activation, it activates and functions in the unmanifest absolute as peace, stillness, and absence, what traditionally is called emptiness in Buddhism. Emptiness or absence mean a lack of identity and a lack of concept. So it's a kind of experience, a kind of contact that isn't orienting to the identity or the function. It's making contact with something more, with the quality of cessation in the individual. So as this potency from cessation comes into and expresses as peace, stillness, and absence, it then moves into the manifest absolute of presence, love, and pure awareness. And with that combination, the power of cessation, fueled by peace and stillness and absence, it comes into love, it comes into presence, and that's what the life force that originates or manifests or creates life. So each of us has been born in this way. And of course, the reverse is how we die. The materiality breaks down first. And then it will enter in. It will be, people talk about entering in to the white light, the tunnel. The loved ones are present. This is the love. This is the pure love of the Absolute. And the presence, the beingness, this is where people associate it with a dead relative, somebody who is a favored relative or friend. That's the quality and function of presence and love. So even returning in death, or returning back, or unwinding this same cycle. Buddhists believe in rebirth. So at some point after this energy abides in cessation, it will once again move into stillness, peace, and absence, into presence and love and awareness, and that will manifest into a new life form. So part of our work is recognizing the duality, the separation that we maintain. And we maintain it principally as a result of the survival instinct that whatever's inside this body, I'm in charge of, and I'm trying to orient to pleasure, not pain. And everything outside could be a source of pleasure, but also could be a source of pain. So we're trying to navigate that. We're trying to maintain our duality. I want to get what I want because the only way I get something is from doing. Nothing manifests for me. I have to go out there and earn it. I've got to make it happen. That's how it works. And so we begin to pull away from that. There was a fairly famous Zen teacher in Japan, maybe, I don't know, 1,000 years ago, let's say, named Banki. And this Roshi, this Zen master, his teaching was called the unborn. And he was so steeped, so realized in the absolute, particularly in the absence quality, that he would say that everything is here, the whole is here all the time. You don't need to practice, you don't need to do anything for the absolute to be present. It's always present. It's manifesting as each of us. Everything we see, the walls, the floor, the sky, the trees, all of it's manifestation of the absolute. And he was completely right. His perspective was completely correct. But the problem was he was teaching people who didn't have that same level of realization. So to simply say, it's all here, there's nothing to do, isn't sufficient for the average person. That isn't enough for them to have the same experience that the consciousness in Banki had. And that's why we have practices. That's why we have these different steps we take, things we try to make that connection, seeing the resistances, and then making contact with the absolute. So we see the relationship for ourselves in our own direct experience in life. Let me pause here and see if there's any questions.